Welcome to today's episode of Liss'N Kristi. If you're with us still, that means you officially like us. We'd love it if you like and subscribe and follow us on all those social media stations. And we have a really exciting guest with us today.
This is our brother from another mother.
Yeah.
Timber.
Welcome, Timber.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me on.
We love your name.
It's Timber Barker. It's all wood. It's actually
apropos that your company's name is Boom,
which is a synonym for timber.
I know.
A lot of people don't. Which sounds really pretentious, but it's not.
No, you're the least pretentious guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here. And let's get started. What do you want to?
Let's tell the people.
Let's tell the people what we have. So Henry and I, my business partner, we had a digital marketing company, and we wanted to do some really creative digital marketing. So technical digital marketing. So AR, VR, XR, which is mixed reality. And this was like 6 years ago.
Versus the acronyms for everybody. AR.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Augmented reality.
Okay.
So that's like looking through your phone, and right now they have like cutesy little things pop up and doing things, and there's a lot of great applications
And
for
AI.
AR. AI, artificial intelligence.
Which is in VR.
And then, virtual reality is VR, so that's the headsets that you get into. So Apple just released their version. And then XR, which is mixed reality. So it's a mix of all those common user experiences together to create interacting with the real world, but with virtual assets, if that makes sense. I can give you some good examples.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so one of our first projects was for this very wealthy person who was building a giant house up in Park City, Utah. And we built a 3D model of this house. And so through your phone, you can just look at a table and it would show the 3D model of the house, and you can walk around the house. You can go into the house with your phone and zoom out. And it was a very immersive experience, and he loved to share this with his friends at their cocktail parties, and because the house would take like about 2 years to build. And I said to Henry, we need to go finish our books because we're writing some books together. And I said, let's find a one-to-many solution, a software solution that's a SaaS model. And SaaS stands for software as a service. So much like Figma or Canva or like DocuSign, right? You learn DocuSign on your own. The software does all the stuff that you need it to do, and that is the service. And I said, let's find one of those. And so we just kept our ear to the ground. We're working at an architectural firm, and I looked at what they do, and I was like, don't you guys talk to your customers during what's called design and discovery? And he's like, yeah, we do after 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I was like, but not before that? He's like, no. I was like, can we help you maybe speed up the time it takes to make these decisions? I mean, people have Pinterest now, they have Houzz now, they have all these, the internet.
All these immersive shopping experiences.
Right. That they want to get their fingers and, in the dough. And
yeah. But then you go to an architect. It's a little archaic. You go to a designer and architect, and they're brilliant at what they do.
Right.
But they disappear for 8 weeks, and they're using CAD, they're using Revit, they're using some really high-powered software that only works on a PC. And so you can't really engage with the customer who's used to being on their phone. So it's created this huge rift in the industry. And I said, look, let's just build a pretty cool software tool that allows people to visually understand spaces. And I was like, what would we have to do to build that? And I was convinced it existed already, by the way. I was just going to go find the software and build a process for my friend and his architectural firm to speed up the time so he can do more work or have more time with his family. That was the whole purpose of us doing this.
I remember you telling me the story in Vegas, and you were like, wait, nobody's invented the widget yet? Essentially to that.
It is exactly
that caveat. There's no widget here?
There wasn't. And I'll speed up the story. It's important to understand that piece because what we're doing now is
May I ask
unbelievable.
what year that conversation took place?
Yeah, it was about 4.5 years ago.
That's the part that blows my mind. Like when I look at trying to just design a website and whatever, like I get that you're an expert in the field, but just how far you've come in those 4.5 years, like I have so much admiration for your work ethic.
Thank you. It honestly was the people around me. Because if, ideas are a dime a dozen. If you can't execute it, who cares? And I showed this to people like, I had that idea 5 years ago. Or I had that idea 10 years ago. I'm like, well, you didn't do it. It was not easy to build. So essentially what ended up happening is I didn't find it. I was like, how does this not exist? And I realized that we had to create an AI, which I already knew about. So we created an image recognition AI.
So, but when you, again, not to interrupt, but 4 years ago, when you were doing this, AI wasn't on anybody's lips.
Not really. I mean,
Well,
everyone says AI, but it
4.5 years ago,
not like it is now.
right? No one was talking about AI, and you knew what you needed.
Yeah, and we also knew that the AI that we have now, so you got ChatGPT, you got a lot of LLMs, so large language models. We knew that was coming. We just didn't know really when it would hit, and we didn't know how fast
It would take
be
off.
adopted. Yeah, and it has to be adopted by people. And I always said this. This is like a quote of mine. I said once these nerds get out of their own way, and they build software that isn't a video game, but they build it for the business world, and then they allow people to have access to that, and they get to use it, they're going to be kings.
Right.
And now look at them. I mean, they're doing $1 trillion raises with no products. That baffles me. But it's cool. So I was like, okay, we needed an image recognition AI to help somebody build a really quick 3D model. And there's a couple things we wanted it to do. Like, it had to be accessible by everybody. Everyone has to be able to use this. Non-technical, non-3D people have to use this kind of technology, and it has to work on every device. And that's really hard to do because there aren't any companies that have a mobile 3D editor of anything right now. We are the first.
Well, I think about how many times I go back in my own mind where I was like, oh, I want to do this or this. And I'd go to the App Store or on Google or whatever, and I'd look for exactly what you have shown me over and over again, thinking this has to exist.
Right. And even when we show people today, they're like, oh, yeah, this is kind of like that.
No, it's unlike anything else.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. They say, oh, yeah, I've seen something like that's been
No,
done.
you haven't.
No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
And how many patents? You have 14?
So, yes, we filed 14 so far. We have 4 issued, another one on the way. We've been very quiet about this for 4 years. We didn't want to come out the gate and show this to everybody because we know the world of software and how quick technology changes and how these bigger companies can steal it. And we were like, no, let's go protect a few pieces of this. That'd be very difficult for somebody to copy.
Secret sauce.
Secret sauce, yeah. So what did we create? Like, what is it? What are we even talking about? 3D digital twins that you can create and you can share. So think Figma or Canva, but in 3D. It communicates like Slack. So think Slack, but in 3D. I can invite just like a Google Doc. So think Google Docs, but in 3D. You can actually set tasks in these 3D digital twins of your spaces. So think Trello or Jira or Monday. There's a bunch of them, right? Task tracking in 3D.
So if we're working on various projects and you say, okay, this is the architecture firm I'm working with, these are the design firm, this is my kids' Boy Scout group, I mean, whatever, they can each have their own little area that you can pass back and forth to docs, conversations, it's all encrypted.
Well,
Yeah.
the ability to communicate within the actual model.
Yes. So right now I could take my phone and using Apple's LiDAR scanner with my phone that has a LiDAR camera on it, I can scan your studio right here and it builds a 3D model very quickly. We can move the chairs around. We can set this up in a completely different way. We can ideate digitally first, and then we can be like, hey, let's send this off to somebody in Dubai to build the set. And you can invite it to them right away. They can export that 3D scene, put it in their professional 3D tool, and we've just now saved loads of time. And so what
And
you
money.
just said.
And money.
And it's all about saving time. We can increase productivity with this software by 180%.
And I'm just going to get to the good part.
Yes.
You're saving lives.
Yeah, so this is,
Well,
yes.
yes.
So
That's-
I do have to say, before my stroke brain gets off track,
Yep.
I guess it was my daughter's school had an addition that they were building. It was a new build and 2 stories. And basically it was just some sheetrock, and they were taking some of the board and the parents through to kind of show what they upgraded and had been doing. And I had been on the phone with Timber as I walked into this meeting, and I said, oh, I've got to go to this school thing, and they're going to show us some renderings. I said, I'll call you back. And he goes, wait, renderings? He said, just take a picture of the room. And I'm like, okay. So I scan a picture with all the parents standing there, nobody's paying attention to me, of the room. And then basically they had like a sandwich board, like a 4x5 up on an easel with a sketch saying This is the first floor. It's one, just a plain 2D blueprints. So I took a picture of that and just kind of forgot about it, sent it to Timber. And so now I'm visiting, I'm talking with people. It wasn't, I think, I still have it, like 6 minutes later, he sends me back a full 3D rendering that everything could be moved. If you'd gone to an architecture firm and done this, first of all, your turnaround would have been, if it was pressed, it would have been a month.
Yeah.
And you're looking at $20,000. And then if you say, I really didn't want those windows there, could we put those? Okay, we're going to have to go back. It's going to be another 10 days, another $10,000. Oh, wait, hold on. I will charge you nothing for moving this. And let's flip this on the other side and see what it looks like.
Yes.
And how many marriages you'll be saving because you'll come through and you'll say, I really want a Thermador oven.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know if it'll fit.
my spouse says, I want Viking. So then you can go and your little Post-its or to Pinterest and drag, this is what this is going to look like there. This is what I want looks like there.
Yeah.
And it's just, it absolutely, I just get so excited every time I pull up the video because this is what's going to, now get to the good part where you save the lives of Superman, Coat Cape.
I think this goes back to, if I don't have older siblings, but I often think of you and think, gosh, if I had an older brother, I'd want it to be somebody like Timber. Like you do so much good. And I think it's really important to highlight how you and Kristi kind of came together with this because, as we've talked about, Kristi has her two foundations, K9s4cops as well as K9s4care and
K9s4kids.
Three. You got three now, right?
Yeah, three now. K9s4kids. But everything that she has done in this industry of trying to protect children in schools and, get officers the equipment they need and just how much of a struggle it's been for a, mom in Texas to collect funds that are private donations to fund these dogs and just try to get people to see a bigger idea of what security looks like in schools. And so the way you kind of came into this, I just think is amazing is you looked at what you created and said, yeah, I could make a fortune. But before I do that, I have a higher calling basically to make sure that I use my brilliance, I use my technology, I use it for good, and I get out there and I hit every single school in this country to try to help, I don't know what states have officially like created the law, but schools are now mandated to give their 3D floor plans to first responders. I'd say 98% of them haven't done that?
Yeah, there's only 2 states that are actually mandating it right now. So that's New Jersey and then Florida. And this is going to be a trend that's going to go through the U.S. And we are just a piece of security. And there's cameras, there's evac plans, there's on-site officers, there's canines, there's all these things. And collectively, even if you put every single thing in a school, ballistic windows, ballistic walls, unfortunately, school shootings are still going to happen. Somebody's going to figure out how to get in. So the least we can do is arm our first responders with the information they need. And what you do is you start at the floor plan.
Right.
They always ask for the floor plan. And floor plans in every other security company I've ever seen is an afterthought. They're like, we do all this. By the way, send us your floor plans. I have no idea. There's no modern way to share
You wouldn't
them.
go into a city without a Google Maps.
Right.
Or your ways, right?
Right. So I look at a school like Texas A&M. It's over 6,000 acres on that one main campus.
Yep.
Hundreds of buildings. So if somebody says, hey, shut down the meat services building, we saw somebody walk in with a rifle. Again, we don't know if it's a prop, if it's whatever, but now the first responders are on the way. 6,000 acres. Now I know that every university isn't that big, but they have to then figure out on a key map, where is that building? And then they get there and they said, wow, that's a huge building. There's 36 doors that go into that building. But if I go in on this side, it looks like I'm going to hit some HVAC. I'm not, I still have something that buffers me over here. Let's see if it comes on this side. There's a fire escape on this side. In other words, you can see everything lifetime. What is the percentage rate that it helps the first responders
That's a great
get
question.
there faster
No, it's
and do their job
It's
faster?
a fantastic question. What you mentioned about Google, if Google is roads and buildings, I can put an address in and it gets me exactly where to go. This software, our software, is the foundation for the inside maps. So I see a future where first responders are like, hey, we're headed over here. Hey, do we have the inside map on this thing? And guess
Right.
whose technology? That's what the team has built for the world. Like we're the first to do it. We're very excited for that. So let's talk numbers here. So a group being invited to, we'll say a first responder, third party, being invited to come in and help, right? Because I can imagine that, we'll just use the Texas A&M example. I can imagine they have their own on-site security that really does know the buildings, they know their stuff, and I've been very impressed with a lot of the first responders, actually all the first responders, every single one of them. They have their stuff together, they understand what they have to do, their training kicks in, they do training drills on the weekends, they know their space. But when I got to invite somebody third party, just like what happened at UNLV a couple months ago. If I have to invite LV Metro into the camp, a lot of them don't know the space as well. So how are you going to get them that information? Possible. Instantly. So metrics wise, if I didn't have any information and I was going in, my training has to kick in. I'm going to run towards that danger. That's what they're trained to do. They're trained to run towards that danger. We're trained to run. We're trained to run away. They run towards. And if they don't have any information, let's just say they can get somewhere in 10 minutes. That sounds like that's fast, right? 10 minutes, right? Now imagine their incident command has this software, every single building, every single blind corner, every single vital building information, the water shut off, the electrical shut off, the fire risers, where all the first aid kits are.
Codes.
The key codes, the lockbox.
Right.
We can't have another Uvalde, right? The lockbox, which is that's going to be a standard across the nation soon. Where is the lockbox? Where's the cable box?
Right.
Like these people don't know where these things are at. Now, if Incident Command has this, boots on the ground, they're not going to be running around with their phone or their little pip on their, looking here. They're trained to do something, but Incident Command can radio in exactly what they see. There's 4 doors on the left. This one's locked. This one's open. You got to clear this one. You got to do this. You have 150 feet over here, and you got to have a blind corner. Be careful around this corner. Imagine what that gives those first responders that are boots on the ground, Incident Command radiating that in. Now let's layer that with additional information about the building. We can actually pipe in the camera feeds to a building. So imagine this technology being the user interface of the future for anything space-wise. What can I see in there? Can I have the access control? Can I see all the doors that are locked? Can I push a button and lock them all? Can I unlock them all right away? Can we give the first responders access to that kind of technology for your building? Would you be willing to? How about the camera feeds? Camera feeds are a big one. So sharing cameras does nothing. I don't know what building B is, hallway J, camera A.1.4. Underscore whatever. I don't know what that even means. You can share that with me. I'll never look at it because I got to bump.
Especially, let's say, because it's such a big university,
Yeah.
100,000 students on campus. The university police are amazing here. But are they going to be calling, if it's something big, other departments for backup? So if they call another department 30 miles away, they may not know that SWAT may not be familiar at all with
Yeah.
the building.
Right.
So they're trying to figure it out on the way.
And they don't share cameras right now because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because they would be like, well, what am I going to do with this? I don't know where this
Right.
is
I
even
see a
looking.
grid of these things, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to decode it.
Right. And so there's a lot of companies out there trying this. We just happen to do it better and
first.
quicker and first. And the fact that the people, the school leaders are the ones who get to use this software. They live there. They walk the halls. They can update the utilization of rooms. So this room is no longer the science room. It's now the therapy room. This over here, we've had to move this wall because the floor plans are outdated.
Right.
They also don't show density. So in our software, you can put down, I don't know how many desks are in a room. If stuff is movable, if it's not movable furniture-wise. Because if something slows down, the first thing they ask for, get us an updated floor plan here. And that's extremely important when that stuff slows down because then you're talking barricading and then you're talking just even knowing what's on the other side of that door is really important. We're the first company or software to provide that to those first responders.
Right. And how much faster have you shown in all your studies that first responders get to the source of the problem?
80% faster. If you have the cameras integrated with the system, the access control integrated with the system, and we are partnered with some pretty amazing companies, so I can now announce this. So Eagle Eye Networks with the camera systems. We're working with Milestone as well. And then Brevo, which is access control. So key card access, doors that are open, doors that are supposed to be closed, things of that nature. We can display
Not
that.
to harp on Uvalde, what could your software have done in a situation like Uvalde?
Well, let's say we had our software and they had all the camera feeds being displayed to even the officers that are sitting in the parking lot waiting. And some of these officers later in court said, I didn't want to go in blind. Now, whether you agree with what that person said or not, I mean, it's their job, right? But there was situations we don't understand, so I can't completely judge that.
Right.
But I don't want anyone to ever have to say that. I don't want to go in blind. So why don't we give them the data they need?
If they do all the training, but they just weren't aware what was on the other side.
Well, they also couldn't unlock the door. They're like, why is this door locked? Like the one they wanted to get in, I should say. We can't have that happening. And if you look at, and it's a little morbid to talk about, but a lot of people, kids, bleed out. And they're not going to let any EMT, EMS in there until that place is clear. The entire place is clear. That's a problem when I hear that, I'm like, that's a problem. So they are training EMTs to kind of go in with the first responders now, kind of sit behind. But I don't think that's enough.
Right.
We got to give them the ability to get to where they need to go faster so that we can not just save lives, but give
Not when
these-
you have a massacre of children.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about it. We've had 35 this year. Do you know that? Already.
I mean, it gives me chills all over.
Already, and I'm tired of talking about it. And I know our solution isn't going to be the end-all solution, but we definitely have.
This is one of the best solutions I've seen
Yeah.
in the 15 years I've been doing this.
Mike Jones, security consultant out of Virginia, says the same exact thing, and he's helping us out of the goodness of his heart. He's just like, I know this. I've seen stuff for 30 years. It's all junk, and this is the first thing I've seen that's going to give a first responder what they need right away.
Because I know every school's different, so I don't want to go off on that. But this is very reasonably priced.
Yes.
You know, I'm working to get it in my daughter's school right now. But as a parent, I was just like, I'll write the check. Where that's how reasonable it was.
It's a pretty simple tiered-based pricing. It's just based off square footage, and we're doing some pretty hefty discounts for schools. And going back to your point about why we're doing that, yeah, I could go to the biggest companies in the world and use it for their property management.
And you've already had offers to buy your company.
Yeah, we've had a few, and we've said no. Schools, they would get this technology last.
Right. If you sold.
Yeah, of course. They may not ever get it. So we're just like, well, why don't we do something really hard? Because it's not easy working with the schools. There's a lot of budget constraints and things of that. But we're like, okay, let's take the hard route. Let's get it to the schools first. Let's let them be first. And let's give them a price that makes sense. It's just a yearly license. We give the schools unlimited seats. So that means if the school has 50 people they want to invite to this digital twin, they can. And we're not going to nickel and dime them for every single little seat that they want. We just do a flat price for the year. It's just a license fee. We show them how to use it. We show them it's not just about security as well. They can do maintenance. They can do security, of course, and design.
And property management.
And property management, yeah. And we're not coming out saying we're going to replace anything that they do. We're actually a really great bolt-on for their existing processes.
You gave me a really great example when we talked about this before. And you said, do you remember when LegalZoom came out and all the lawyers that, did, business agreements or whatever, that they thought, oh my gosh, we're going to lose out on so much money because nobody's going to come and see this for these simple documents anymore. But now more people are executing more in business because the entry levels are affordable and
Correct.
It doesn't seem out of reach.
Correct.
And just like this might be the gateway for somebody to decide, hey, I can afford to build a house. Like I couldn't afford to build a house before, but now my ability to work with my architect and get to that plan faster gives me more access.
Correct.
To be a consumer.
Absolutely. Let's give people what they need. Let's let you ideate in three-dimensional spaces you can control, and then you can share. So sharing of this is like you can be on a PC, you're on a Mac, and I'm on my phone, and I'm out in the field. You're doing something in it. I can see what you're doing. You're doing something in it. We're chatting and communicating in it. And you're like, no, go over here. I don't have to walk around and be like, well, where the heck am I going? You just directed me on where to go, and regardless of what I'm doing. Like that speeds up time. That saves our time. That allows us businesses to create more work, to create more jobs. This honestly is digital twins, and editing them in the way that we've built them is the future, period. And we are proud of that. We have a really good team. So
I just feel this should be a requirement in every single school.
Well,
even if it's not us, I agree. I think every single it should follow what New Jersey and what Florida have done. And they're saying, like for Florida, for example, they've set aside a lot of money for schools to provide these digital twins to first responders, but they only give enough money for like a one-off share. This is a live floor plan.
Right.
So if you go and change something
In real time.
In real time, you go and change something, everyone that you've invited that to would get your change. And we've set roles and permissions so that it's secure.
I feel like one of the biggest advantages would for every concert, like, every
Yeah.
concert, they need to execute this immediately because
Every
it's
rodeo.
a venue that constantly changes, constantly a new shift of people coming in. Look how many people we've lost in concerts and live events. I mean, that along with schools, I think.
Sporting events.
Yeah, anything.
Festivals, shopping malls,
Any building.
any building,
We s-
hospitals.
We,
I
yeah,
mean-
we see this for every building.
It used to be what? How often would you hear about school shootings 15 years ago? And now we hear of threats at least
Yeah.
10
Well,
times a week.
We're
Well, I
numb
mean,
to
I
it.
get the updates every single day,
Yeah.
and it's not good.
No, it's not. And we all need to collectively do something about it.
Right.
Like, I don't think there's enough of us doing anything about it.
Well, Christy's always said, look, if you want the credit, take it.
Take it. I don't care.
Right.
I'll put everybody together. I don't care who. I don't need the credit. I just need our kids safe.
Yeah, we're sending them
And
to
for
this hall.
less than it would cost a school to have a DocuSign account,
Mm-hmm.
they can have a safety and security measure like this that is
Yep.
second to none.
And they are
Yeah.
even able to build in additional systems that will, send out emergency notifications to parents through this.
Yeah, so we're not trying to replace. So there's like Share 911, for example. Really like those guys and what they've been able to do. So the alerting system and the teachers, they can actually, say yes, all the kids are checked in, or you know what, I have all but one, but the one is in the field, and then that teacher out in the field can check that student in. That's all fantastic. We're not looking to replace that, but we are looking to get it in the future, because we're constantly developing and ideating certain things. We could tell you without NFC, RFID, or GPS systems where somebody's at in a building. And the reason we can do that is because if we have your digital twin in 3D, we have the distances between everything. So if somebody grabs their phone and does a quick little camera or just takes a picture, hey, I'm here, I don't know where I'm at in this building, here's where I'm at. We bump up the image in their picture to the 3D we already have, and we're like, the likelihood this person is right here is 99%. And now think further, all right, because we've seen this in Hollywood for like 40 years.
I was just thinking Hollywood has to eat this up. They have to.
Well, it's in the movies where you're like, oh, the bad guy is around the corner. He's going to be there in 5, 4, 3, 2. That tech doesn't exist at all. Like, I don't care who you are. Not even with radio waves, that tech exists. So if that tech doesn't exist, and we're the first to say, oh, we could actually do that. Now think a fireman walk in a stage 3 or in a big fire, and it's just smoke. Can't see anything.
Right.
They're trained to put their left hand on the wall and walk, and they find a body, pick it up, and get out. But they get lost. So they have now LiDAR cameras that can go through smoke, and they can build the hallways in 3D very quickly. But that's only a part of the solution. You bump up that information then with a digital twin in 3D that they could build literally on site. Now we can show you that person walking on this digital twin, accurate, not 5 feet off, but 7 millimeters off. That's big. That's huge. That is a game changer for the world.
So let's just say, for example, you're watching this, or the command of the SWAT's watching this, and they see somebody that's an unknown figure come through a hallway going to where a set of classrooms are. They can see live time. He has a gun, he has a vest, and then there could be an automatic locking of the doors, one however they had that set up to, if kids are in there, that they say, okay, we can see him coming this way. We know we want our teams over here.
Yes.
That is priceless.
We can do that right now. Right now, it's already done. We can do it. We just need people to. We just came out of the closet. I'm short, so maybe I came out of the cupboard. We just came out with this, and we just started telling people about it. We need more people to get us in front of the right people.
How many schools are you in?
So going pretty slow because we want really good use cases. So we're in 5 schools. So NHBC, which is UNLV's medical school. So we're in that building, and they love the technology, and we want to, again, get this into the greater UNLV campus. They got about 100 buildings in their ecosystem. Private school out in Las Vegas as well, so the Meadows Premier Private School. Of course, Allen Academy, thank you for that. Actually, Allen Academy I'm very excited for, because not only is it protecting your daughter, which is the point of us parents, right? So I thank you for that. But they're going to have the first fully integrated system where it's the digital twin, but also the camera feeds. So we can go run ops and figure out how well these ops are, how quick these I shouldn't just say SWAT, sorry, first responders. So how quick these first responders they can use Allen Academy as the test case for this state.
Right.
And we can do that within just, a week or two. Like, this is quick. We can do this very fast. The software is the hero, but it really isn't. It's about Allen Academy.
The workhorse.
Well, it's you, first off. It's you and Allen Academy saying, we're going to be progressive with this. We're going to put some plans in place for our kids and our staff. We're going to protect them. We hope we never have to use this, but we have it ready to go.
Right.
And they are the hero. You're the heroes. And that's the most important thing.
But to have it in schools, public or private, that the local law enforcement can train under the guise of this software.
They can train virtually. We talked about VR. Our stuff's VR ready. So imagine like you're a new officer and or fire department.
Or K9, or
you can train you can actually, we can go into that.
It's endless.
Or a drone. Like, you can train a drone to fly through a building, and it learns all the walls, windows, and doors in our software in the digital version first, so that when the drone, goes into the actual
Can I live in
building,
your brain for just a day? Just like one day?
You wouldn't.
I'll just keep a journal of my notes.
It's
just think about what this could do for our border.
So let me talk about border for a second. Thank you for bringing that up. So you can actually take a Google Map screenshot, crop it to what you want, and then start placing the digital sticky notes, any structures you want, anything, and then share that with the team, multiple teams, instantly to any device.
So you could essentially build your own Sim City in like Vail, Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, we're nerds. We talk about being gamers. We're gamers. We're nerds, and remember I said the quote about if the nerds just got out of their way and they built something.
Yeah,
it's really saying, I was talking to myself. I was in the mirror, and I was like,
"Hey nerd,
hey nerd, hey nerd, you need to build something for the real world." Right, because video games are cool. They're good entertainment.
By the way, Timber educated us about Twitch, so don't worry, anybody. We know.
Yes, they know what Twitch is now. We're gonna get them on it. We're gonna play 7 Days to Die.
Okay.
And they are gonna learn how to play video games on Twitch.
Okay, I'm gonna date myself.
Upcoming date to be announced. You would watch us? Well, you're gonna be there teaching us.
I know 800,000 guys playing video games in basements who would watch you.
A friend of mine built Earthworm Jim. Do y'all remember?
Oh, that's an old school game. That's a great game.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That's a great game.
I remember him 30 years ago trying to tell me, I'm a gamer, I'm cool. I was like, okay.
And you're like, it's not going to go anywhere. And
I know.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't.
As he's talking about this AI world, don't you just want to go back in your head to whoever told you the internet would never make money and be like, what possessed you?
Who said that? Was that
my
Mark
mentor?
Cuban?
No, it was not Mark Cuban. My mentor that actually passed away this week at 96 years old, and I was leaving broadcasting and was going to go work for Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
He'd made me a job offer, and I said, I would move to Dallas. He'd pay me what I was making, and I'd get stock options. And everybody in my office just kind of looked at me and said, and my friend said, half of nothing's nothing. And I said, I don't understand what you mean. He goes, there won't ever be a company that goes public that's affiliated with the internet. Of course, this is about 94, 95. And I said, why would you say that? And he goes, there's nothing tangible. It's just air. There's no way to value it.
Yeah.
So he said, so you're going to run off for this company. And he said, so what happens when they go belly up in 4 or 5 years and this internet thing is a flash in the pan? He said, then what are you going to do? You going to get your old job back with your old dental and your old, 401k?
You're
And
going to do this.
Right.
Powered by the internet, by the way.
Right. But, when I'm talking 30 years ago, when the internet was just, no one had it. There was less than 5,000 websites when I started.
Yeah, and you were labeled, they gave you a title, right?
Queen of the internet, Forbes did.
Queen.
Yeah. Queen of the internet.
Let's bring that back.
Yeah. I need to
Right.
go to them and say, where are they now? I need you to do a 30-year edition. Of course, I have a few years before the 30 years. I think I was in 98 or something.
Or, 90, was it 98?
I think so.
Yeah. It's,
I always tell her comeback stories are great for a reason.
Yeah.
No, they really are. We're really excited about this software. We need more people, again, to get us in front of the right people to listen. And it is very hard to get through the public school sector. There's RFPs, there's all these things you got to go through. Then everybody has to bid on it.
Nobody gets more done than angry, aggressive, inquisitive mamas.
Let's go to them then.
Yeah.
Let's be we got to be loud about this.
Right.
Because, and I'll give you some time here. So if school gave us their floor plans, or they just set this up on their own, they can have everything set up in less than a day, ready to share to first responders. Why does it take 9 months to write an RFP on something we know will actually help not just on-site staff, but also anyone being invited to that property? Why does it take so long?
Right.
What's the problem with that?
Right.
So we're going to go through it because we have to get heard. But yeah, we're really excited
Because you
about
can't imagine anybody who hears about it wouldn't want it. So why can't?
I think we need to make a trip to D.C.
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Talk
Let's
to
go.
some people on the Hill.
Capitol Hill. And bring Mr. Smith.
Yeah, it
If-
should be
if,
an
if,
immediate.
Bunny and Jelly Roll can do it, so can we.
Yeah, we
That's
just
true. That is really true. Honestly, you said this. Power to the people. The people get together enough, they will get heard.
Right.
Budgets will get approved, and these processes will be implemented very quickly. So let's go to the people.
I was thinking today again about, we've been talking so much about podcasts really taking off and hitting it. And I feel like the people are wanting to consume their own news, their own information, their own source of intellect, whatever. They're tired of what we're all being told. And, it's because of that. The people need to band together and say, I've had enough of this, or I care enough about this. I want to make a difference. I don't need a politician telling me what that's supposed to look like. And I think for this and for you and for Kristi and, all of our desires to do more to help protect these children and first responders and hospital employees, the people who saved our lives during COVID, and banded
Right.
together and made sure the country kept running. I think this is how we give back and say, again, our police forces are understaffed. They're underappreciated. There's a lot of conflict still within all of that. And so I feel like this is an avenue to do more without hurting anybody. It's not political. There's no agenda behind it.
This isn't Democrat, Republican,
No.
Independent. This is, I
Everybody.
want my child safe. Every child deserves a safe place to learn.
Yeah.
And the mental health
I
that's
know.
happening to these kids having to go to school it's like a PTSD situation we're creating for children. Just, they watch the news. They hear about it from their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They are scared to go to school every day. Like what we have taken for granted from our youth of school was my safe place. And to think that, now we're forcing children to go to a place where they're supposed to retain vital information for their future while also being scared is ridiculous.
It is. And I think more needs to be done. We're not done. We're only, again, a sliver of a proactive measure that schools can use and utilize, but there's so much more that just needs to be done. And how do we get people talking about this?
We keep having these candlelit vigils, but nobody's coming up with a solution.
It's like deja vu. We're getting numb to it.
Right.
Like
We
you
are
hear about
numb
a
to
school
it.
shooting, you're like, oh, that sucks. And you read about it for a day, and then afterwards you're like, what? You wait for the next one? Mm-hmm. So I don't.
Well, then you start listening to harder to say, oh, do I know someone there? Like, you become so numb to it. It's like, oh, there was another one, but wait, might I know someone there? Because it's supposed to be less significant because it didn't affect you.
Yeah, it's affecting communities. I mean, Sandy Hook. So
Right.
the whole community still struggle. I mean, it affects
They will never
all of
get
us.
over that.
Right.
As well, they
Yeah,
shouldn't.
we just want to do something about it. So this is our version of like, let's do something instead of talk about
Well,
it.
tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you.
In Salt Lake. I'm kidding. So we're based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Our company's called Boom Interactive Inc. And the school safety product is called Core Spec 3D. The website's cs3d.ai, and it's more than just security, even though security is the most important thing about a building. But maintenance, security, design, event planning, utilize this software. We have a 180% productivity increase right now that we're tracking, and we can help first responders get to the people in your building that you care about faster, period. So if you
And-
want that.
Yeah,
Yes.
what's the direct way they should reach out?
So on the website, you can fill out hey, I want a demo, and reach out to us. Right on the website contact form. We also have a phone number on there. You can call and say, hey, I want a demonstration and I want to see this technology. And it's self-service. This is a SaaS model, so we teach you how to use it. It's about a 45-minute
So there's no
learning
equipment to
curve.
leave there besides your
Yeah.
cameras.
No equipment. We can integrate with most equipment, most everything that you have, and we get a lot of requests for other things as well. So we have the ability to customize a solution for them or for you, and if that does come up, so yeah, we're ready to go.
One of the things that we thought about after we met you and we talked about it is we want to get the message out about so many things. Why are we still looking for how to do that? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
So, thanks for listening. Say goodnight, Lucy.
Good night, Lucy.